Hello and welcome to Big Science Academy. If you like the videos and want to see more videos for NEET, GATE and NET exams, please subscribe the channel, click the bell icon and share the videos. So let's start with respiration today. Here is Mr. Mitochondria saying hello to you. So let's see how does he produce energy. This is the first part of the series and I am Bikram Ghosh. So let's start. Let's start respiration by answering some questions. So, the first question is, what is respiration? So, respiration is a catabolic process by which our body dry weight is reduced and energy is generated. That means our body dry weight means that the solid mass of our body is reduced to produce energy. That is respiration. So here another question comes, that is, what is catabolism now? Catabolism is the breakdown of complex molecules into simpler molecules together with the release of energy. Here it is the breakdown of complex molecules into simpler ones together with the release of energy. That is a destructive metabolism. This catabolic process, which is called respiration, produces energy in all living organisms. Okay. So the next question arises, what are those complex molecules which act as respiratory substrate? So the complex molecules are the food materials what we eat in our daily life, like carbohydrate, fat and proteins. These are those complex molecules which are then converted into simpler molecules and acts as respiratory substrate for the production of energy during the process of respiration. So let's see what is respiration. Let's talk about the whole scenario of respiration, okay? Now, first comes the solar energy or light energy in terms of photons. Now, this solar energy is converted into chemical energy, that is glucose, by the process of photosynthesis. Okay. Now, this photosynthesis is performed by green plants only. Okay. So, now this chemical energy or glucose is then converted into potential energy, which is ATP. And this potential energy or ATP is produced by the process of respiration by all living organisms on the earth. And those include plants, animals, bacteria, algae, etc., fungi, all. So here are some key points about respiration, that respiration is an exergonic process. Okay, respiration is an exergonic process. That means in this process energy is produced, and it is an universal process. That means it occurs in all living organisms, that is plants, animals, bacteria, fungi. And the respiratory substrates are carbohydrate, fat and protein. Carbohydrate is preferred first, then fat, then protein because of its energy producing capability. So let's see the phases of respiration now. The first phase of respiration is glycolysis, which occurs in the cytosol of the cell. And the next phase is the link reaction. It occurs in the mitochondria of the cell. The third reaction or the third phase is the Krebs cycle. It occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria. And the last and the fourth phase is the oxidative phosphorylation or the ETS. Here we can see it is the ETS, and it occurs in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So Krebs cycle occurs in the matrix, link reaction occurs in the intermembrane space, glycolysis occurs in the cytosol, and oxidative phosphorylation occurs in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Okay. So next, start with glycolysis. So glycolysis occurs in the cytosol of the cell, and it is a catabolic process or catabolism because in this process glucose is broken down into pyruvate. The glycolysis process can be of two types. The first one is the aerobic type, which occurs in presence of oxygen. That is, in presence of oxygen, glucose is converted into pyruvate. That is the aerobic type. Okay. And next, the another type is the anaerobic type, where the catabolic process or glycolysis occurs in absence of oxygen. We will later see what are those processes. So generally, the glycolysis process contains 10 steps. The first 5 steps, that is the from step 1 to step 5, are known as preparatory phase, in which ATP are utilized. Okay. In these 5 steps, glucose is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. The short form or abbreviation of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is G3P and dihydroxyacetone phosphate is DHAP. And the next 5 phases, starting from 6 up to 10, are known as payoff phase. In these phases, ATP are generated. And in this payoff phase, G3P or glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate are converted into pyruvate. And pyruvate is the end product of glycolysis. So we will start with the flow chart of glycolysis. So we will start with the preparatory phase, and it contains the step 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. First, the respiratory substrate, that is the glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, is converted into glucose 6-phosphate, which is also a 6-carbon compound, with the help of an enzyme known as hexokinase in presence of cofactor magnesium 2+ ions. And it requires expense of 1 ATP molecule. That is, the phosphate of adenosine triphosphate, that 3-phosphate containing adenosine triphosphate, that is ATP, donates 1 phosphate to the glucose 6-phosphate, to the glucose, converting it into glucose 6-phosphate, and itself gets converted into ADP. Okay. Next, this glucose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 6-phosphate. That means it is also a 6-carbon compound, and fructose is also a 6-carbon compound. So it isomerizes, and the enzyme required is phosphohexose isomerase. Okay. And in the third step, fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. That means 1 extra phosphate is added in the first carbon position. Okay. All here where the phosphate were being added at the 6th carbon position, and here the second phosphate is added in the first carbon position with the help of an enzyme phosphofructokinase 1, and it requires an expense of ATP as in the first step. Now, this fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is converted into 2 different molecules with the help of enzyme aldolase, and the cofactor is zinc 2+ ion. Here, the 2 molecules are G3P, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and DHAP. We can see here that G3P is a 3-carbon compound and DHAP is also a 3-carbon compound. So the 6 carbon containing fructose 6-bisphosphate, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, is then converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is a 3-carbon compound, and DHAP, which is also a 3-carbon compound. So the 6-carbon compound splitted into 2 molecules of 3-carbon compound. Here, this DHAP is then isomerizes into G3P. That means here at the end of the 5th phase, 2 molecules of G3P is produced, and this isomerization occurs with the help of an enzyme triose phosphate isomerase. From the preparatory phase, 2 molecules of G3P, which is a 3-carbon compound, is now entered into the payoff phase. And in the payoff phase, it is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, which is also a 3-carbon compound. And the phosphate is in the position of first carbon and the third carbon. So in this 6th phase, the enzyme which acts is the G3P dehydrogenase, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. And dehydrogenase means that the enzyme actually dehydrogenates or eliminates or extracts the hydrogen from the substrate and transfers it into another compound. That means from G3P, two hydrogens are being extracted and it is given into NADH. Here we can see that 2 NAD plus molecule is converted into 2 NADH molecules. Okay. So now this is formed due to the enzyme G3P dehydrogenase. Now in the 7th phase, this 1,3-bis-phosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. That means 2-phosphate containing compound is converted into 1-phosphate containing compound. That means the phosphate of the first carbon is eliminated, and with the help of phosphoglycerate kinase enzyme. So the 2-phosphate are being added to the 2 ADP molecules to convert it into 2 ATP molecules. So next, in the 8th phase, this 3-phosphoglycerate compound is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate. That means the compound is isomerized, or the phosphate at the 3rd carbon position is then transferred into the 2nd carbon position. So here it is written 2-phosphoglycerate, and here it was written that 3-phosphoglycerate. Okay, with the help of an enzyme phosphoglyceromutase. In the 9th phase, this 2-phosphoglycerate compound is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. Okay, so one enol group is added with the help of an enzyme enolase. And here, while the addition of the enol group, 2 H2O molecules or water molecules are eliminated. And in the last phase, 2-phosphoenol pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon compound, is converted into pyruvate. So here the enzyme is pyruvate kinase with the help of cofactors K plus ion, Mg2 plus ion, or Mn2 plus ions. These ions acts as cofactor with the enzyme pyruvate kinase. And here also this phosphoenol pyruvate, that means phosphate containing pyruvate, is converted into a non-phosphate containing pyruvate. That means the phosphate groups are then transferred to the ADP molecule, which then converts itself into ATP molecule. So the 7th phase and the 10th phase are those two phases where ATP are being produced. So these two phases are known as substrate level phosphorylation phases. Okay. So we can see here that from the preparatory phase, the phase 1, that means step 1, and here step 3 are the two steps where ATP are utilized. Okay. And in the payoff phase, the 7th step and the 10th step are the two steps where the ATP molecules are generated. Okay. And the 3rd step of the preparatory phase is known as the rate limiting reaction, because this reaction can control the total glycolysis step or the total glycolysis process. That's why this 3rd step is known as the rate limiting reaction. So here we can see now that iodoacetate is an inhibitor of the G3P dehydrogenase enzyme. That means if iodoacetate acts, then G3P dehydrogenase enzyme will be inhibited and this 6th step will not occur and the glycolysis phase will stop. Here also for the 9th step and for the enzyme enolase, fluoride is an inhibitor and it inhibits the enzyme. And at last, the total calculation of ATP here. In the preparatory phase, 2 ATP molecules, one this and one this ATP molecules are utilized, and in the payoff phase at the 7th and 10th step, 4 ATP molecules are produced. That's why here it is given plus and here it is minus. And in the 6th step, 2 NADP molecules were produced, and each NADP molecule in the last ETS or electron transport system generates 5 ATP molecules. Okay, that's why here it is written 5 ATP. So the total calculation is 7 ATP molecules generated in one cycle of glycolysis or one pathway of glycolysis. So let's proceed to the next step. So the next is the glycolysis regulations or the regulations of glycolysis. Here in the glycolysis there were 3 unidirectional steps. That means the step 1, step 3 and step 10, where there was given a single sided arrow. Those 3 steps are regulated. Only those 3 steps can be regulated in the total process of glycolysis. Okay. So the first step is where glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. Here the enzyme was hexokinase and it is positively regulated or promoted by AMP, adenosine monophosphate, and PI or inorganic phosphate, and it is inhibited itself by the product, that is glucose 6-phosphate inhibits the hexokinase enzyme. In the next step, that is the third step, the reaction was fructose 6-phosphate was converted to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate and the enzyme was phosphofructokinase 1. Here the promoter of this reaction was ADP, AMP and fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, and the inhibitors were ATP, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, that is the product. This product is the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and PEP, that is phosphoenol pyruvate, or ATP and H plus ions. In the 10th step, phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate, and here the enzyme was pyruvate kinase. It was positively regulated by adenosine diphosphate, glucose 6-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. All these compounds are the product of previous reactions, that is glucose 6-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate. And the inhibitors are ATP, acetyl-CoA, alanine, malate, citrate and 2-oxoglutarate. These molecules are the products of citric acid cycle, and citric acid cycle products can regulate the glycolysis reaction. Okay. So the next is the fate of pyruvate. We have seen that at last the glycolysis produces the pyruvate molecule. The pyruvate molecule is produced when glucose molecule is converted to pyruvate with the help of glycolysis process. Okay. So the 2 molecules of pyruvate can now enter in 2 different conditions. That is, the first is the aerobic condition, where these 2 molecules of pyruvate is converted into 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA with the elimination of 1 CO2 molecule, and these 2 acetyl-CoA molecules then enter into the Krebs cycle, releasing CO2 molecule and H2. This is the total aerobic condition process. But there is also another process or another fate of pyruvate where the pyruvate enters into the anaerobic condition. Okay, here we can see the anaerobic condition. In the anaerobic condition, these 2 pyruvate molecules can be converted in either of these 2 conditions or enter in these 2 conditions. Okay. So here, if in the first condition pyruvate enters, then in this anaerobic condition 2 molecules of ethanol and 2 molecules of CO2 are produced by the fermentation process by yeast, and in the other anaerobic condition 2 molecules of lactate are produced by the fermentation process in the muscles of mammals. Okay, so these are the 3 fates of pyruvate. One is the aerobic fate, where it is converted into acetyl-CoA. The other 2 are the anaerobic fate, this one and this one. The anaerobic fate is, the first one is the 2 molecules of ethanol and CO2, and the other is 2 molecules of lactate. Okay. So this is the end of part 1 of respiration. Part 2 will be coming soon. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe the channel if you like the videos. Click the bell icon for notification of further upcoming videos. Follow us on Facebook and follow us on Telegram. Thank you again.